The moment Alex and Lyra stepped out of the cave, the world around them erupted into chaos. The three ships hovered menacingly above, their weapons trained on the small clearing. Alex clenched his fists, feeling the strange energy from the bond still coursing through him. It was overwhelming, like standing at the edge of a storm, unsure whether it would destroy or empower him. "Stay close," Lyra whispered, her voice steady but urgent. "Whatever happens, don't let go of the connection." Alex nodded, though his mind raced with doubts. How could they possibly stand against such advanced technology? These hunters weren't just dangerous. They were relentless. And yet, as he glanced at Lyra, he saw something in her eyes that gave him pause. Determination. She wasn't afraid. Not anymore. One of the ships fired first, sending a searing beam of light toward them. Instinctively, Alex raised his hand, channeling the energy from the bond. To his astonishment, a shimmering barrier materialized in front of them, deflecting the attack. The force of the impact sent shockwaves rippling through the air, but neither of them faltered. What did I just do?" Alex stammered, staring at his trembling hands. "You're learning," Lyra replied, a hint of pride in her voice. "The bond lets us share abilities. You can use my power now, and I can use yours." Before Alex could respond, the other two ships opened fire simultaneously. Beams of energy crisscrossed the sky, forcing them to dodge and weave through the onslaught. Each movement felt synchronized, as if they were no longer two separate beings, but one cohesive unit. Alex marveled at how natural it felt, despite the danger surrounding them. But even with their newfound strength, exhaustion began to take its toll. Alex's legs burned from running, and his chest tightened with every labored breath. Lyra wasn't faring much better. Her usually radiant skin had dimmed slightly, and sweat glistened on her brow. "They're too strong," Alex gasped as they ducked behind a cluster of boulders for cover. "We can't keep this up forever." "We don't have to," Lyra said firmly, her glowing eyes scanning the battlefield. "We just need to hit them where it hurts." "Their leader." "Their leader?" Alex echoed, confused. She pointed to the largest ship, which hung back while the others attacked. "That one controls the others. If we disable it, the rest will retreat, or at least hesitate long enough for us to escape." "And how exactly are we supposed to do that?" Alex asked, frustration creeping into his tone. Lyra turned to face him, her expression softening. "By trusting each other completely. This bond isn't just about sharing power, it's about unity. If we combine our strength fully, we might stand a chance." Alex hesitated, his jaw tightening. Trust didn't come easily to him, not after everything he'd been through. But looking at Lyra now, he realized she was right. They couldn't win this fight alone. "Okay," he said finally, taking a deep breath. "Let's do it." Lyra smiled faintly, placing her hands on his shoulders. "Close your eyes. Focus on me, and only me." As Alex obeyed, he felt the bond deepen, pulling them closer together until their thoughts merged seamlessly. Memories, emotions, fears, all of it blended into a single stream of consciousness. For the first time, Alex truly understood Lywan, not as an alien, but as someone fighting for survival, just like him. When they opened their eyes again, the air around them crackled with energy. Together, they raised their arms, aiming directly at the lid ship. A surge of blinding light shot forth, striking the vessel with devastating force. The explosion rocked the ground beneath their feet, sending debris flying in all directions. The remaining ships hesitated, then retreated into the sky, disappearing as quickly as they had arrived. For a moment, silence reigned. Alex collapsed to his knees, drained but alive. Lyra knelt beside him, her breathing ragged. "We did it," she murmured, her voice barely audible. But before Alex could respond, pain shot through his chest, a sharp, searing sensation that left him gasping. Something was wrong. terribly wrong. The night was quiet, the kind of stillness that made Alex Harper feel like he owned the world, or at least this small corner of it. He leaned over the hood of an old sedan parked outside his garage, the rhythmic clinking of tools echoing in the cool air. Stars glittered above him, scattered across the vast expanse of sky like spilled salt. It wasn't often he got to work under such a clear canopy of stars, and though he wasn't one for poetic thoughts, tonight felt different. Alex wiped his hands on a greasy rag and glanced up again, just as something streaked across the heavens. At first, he thought it was a meteor, a bright tail blazing through the darkness. But then it curved sharply, defying the laws of physics. His heart skipped a beat. Whatever it wasn't natural. Before he could process what he'd seen, there was a distant boom, followed by a faint tremor beneath his feet. Curiosity tugged at him, stronger than his better judgment. Leaving his tools behind, Alex grabbed a flashlight and headed toward the woods where the object seemed to have fallen. The trees loomed ahead, their shadows swallowing the light from his flashlight as he ventured deeper. Branches snapped underfoot, and the air grew colder with every step. Despite himself, unease crept into his chest. What if it wasn't just some random space rock? What if? His thoughts were interrupted when he stumbled upon a clearing. There, half buried in the dirt, lay a sleek metallic pod unlike anything he'd ever seen. Its surface shimmered faintly, reflecting the moonlight in strange patterns. For a moment, Alex froze, torn between awe and fear. This wasn't Earth-made. There was no denying it now. He'd found something alien. Before he could decide whether to run or investigate further, the pod began to hum softly. A seam appeared along its center, splitting open with a hiss of escaping air. Light spilled out, blinding him momentarily. When his vision cleared, he saw her. She stood inside the pod, slender and otherworldly, her skin glowing faintly as if lit from within. Her wide eyes locked onto his, filled with an intelligence that felt ancient yet oddly innocent. She stepped out slowly, barefoot, her movements graceful and deliberate. Alex instinctively took a step back, his mind racing with questions he couldn't form into words. And then she smiled, a serene, disarming smile that somehow calmed his racing heart even as it sent chills down his spine. "We are bound together," she said in perfect English, her voice melodic but firm. "What?" Alex stammered, shaking his head. "What do you mean? Who are you?" But she only tilted her head, studying him as if memorizing every detail. "You will understand soon." Alex wanted to argue, to demand answers, but something about her presence held him in place. It wasn't just her appearance or her words. It was the way she looked at him, as if she already knew him better than he knew himself. Panic bubbled up inside him. Bound together. He hadn't agreed to anything. Yet deep down, he couldn't shake the feeling that his life had just changed forever. The aftermath of the explosion left Alex and Lyra battered but alive. The factory was a smoldering ruin, its twisted metal and charred remains serving as a grim reminder of what they had faced and overcome. As dawn broke over the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Alex struggled to sit up, his body aching with every movement. "You okay?" he asked hoarsely, glancing at Lyra beside him. Her luminous skin was dimmer now, almost fragile-looking, but her eyes still held that same quiet strength. "I'll survive," she replied softly, managing a faint smile. "We both will." Alex looked around at the wreckage, his mind replaying the events of the past few days. It felt surreal, like something out of a dream he couldn't wake up from. Yet here he was, sitting amidst the ruins of an alien weapon, bonded to an extraterrestrial girl who had changed his life forever. "What happens now?" he asked finally, his voice tinged with uncertainty. Lyra hesitated before answering. "The bond between us. It can't be undone. Not without risking catastrophic consequences, for both of us, and for everyone around us." Alex sighed, running a hand through his disheveled hair. He had suspected as much, but hearing it confirmed made it feel more real and more permanent. "So I'm stuck with you." Her smile widened slightly. "And I'm stuck with you." Despite himself, Alex chuckled weakly. "Guess I'll have to get used to weird alien stuff then." "It's not all bad," Lyra teased gently, her tone lightening for the first time in days. "You might even learn to like it." As they sat there, watching the sun rise higher into the sky, Alex realized something profound. Though their journey had been chaotic and painful, it had also transformed him. Before Lyra, he had been content living an ordinary life, fixing cars, keeping to himself, avoiding anything outside his comfort zone. But now he understood what it meant to fight for something greater than himself. "We should head back," Lyra said after a while, breaking the silence. "People will be looking for answers. We need to explain what happened, without causing panic." "Right," Alex agreed, standing unsteadily on shaky legs. "Somehow, I don't think aliens attacked us is gonna go over well." "No," Lyra said with a wry grin. "But we'll figure it out. Together." Together. The word resonated deeply within him. For so long, Alex had resisted the bond, seeing it as a burden forced upon him. But now he began to see it differently, not as a curse, but as a partnership. When they returned to town, they found it eerily quiet. News of the explosion had spread, and people were already speculating about its cause. Alex and Lyra worked quickly to craft a story, a gas leak, an accidental fire, that would satisfy curious minds without revealing the truth. That night, as they stood beneath the stars once again, Lyra turned to Alex with a thoughtful expression. "Do you regret any of this?" Alex considered the question carefully. "I regret being dragged into it against my will. But," he paused, meeting her gaze, "if it hadn't happened, I wouldn't have learned how strong I really am, or how much I'm capable of when I trust someone." Lyra smiled warmly, her glowing eyes reflecting the starlight. "You've grown, Alex Harper, in ways neither of us expected." "And you've changed too," Alex replied quietly. "You're not just some alien girl anymore. You're part of me." For the first time since their ordeal began, Alex felt a sense of peace. Their bond wasn't perfect. It never would be. But it was theirs. And together, they vowed to protect humanity from whatever threats lay ahead. As they stood side by side under the vast, endless sky, Alex realized something else. Sometimes, the most unexpected journeys lead to the greatest rewards. The hum in the air grew louder, vibrating through Alex's bones like an ominous warning. He stared up at the darkening sky, his heart pounding as three sleek, metallic ships descended from above. They hovered silently, their surfaces glinting menacingly under the fading light. Each ship was shaped like a jagged blade, exuding an aura of cold efficiency that sent chills down Alex's spine. "Who are they?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "My hunters," Lyra replied, her tone tight with tension. "They won't stop until they take me, or destroy you." Alex turned to her sharply. "Destroy *me*? Why me? I didn't do anything." "You're bound to me now," she said simply, meeting his gaze. "To them, you're just collateral damage." Before Alex could process her words, one of the ships unleashed a beam of blinding light. It struck the ground near them with explosive force, sending dirt and debris flying. Alex stumbled backward, shielding his face as panic surged through him. "We need to move," Lyra shouted, grabbing his arm. Without waiting for a response, she pulled him toward the woods behind the house. The ships followed, their engines roaring as they fired again. Trees splintered and fell around them, forcing Alex and Lyra to zigzag through the chaos. Every step felt like a gamble. Every second brought them closer to disaster. As they ran, Alex noticed something strange happening inside him. The bond between him and Lyra seemed to grow stronger with each passing moment. He could feel her fear mingling with his own, but also her determination, a fierce resolve that somehow fueled his own courage. Without realizing it, he reached out mentally, drawing strength from her presence. "They're gaining on us," Alex yelled, glancing over his shoulder. One of the ships was dangerously close, its shadow looming over them like a predator stalking its prey. "Keep running," Lyra urged, her glowing eyes scanning their surroundings. "There's a cave ahead. We can hide there." Sure enough, a narrow opening appeared among the rocks. Lyra dove inside first, pulling Alex in after her. The space was cramped and damp, but it offered some protection from the relentless assault outside. As they crouched together in the darkness, Alex struggled to catch his breath. "This isn't going to work," he panted, wiping sweat from his forehead. "They'll find us eventually." Lyra shook her head, her expression grim but resolute. "Not if we fight back." "Fight back? How? We don't have weapons or anything." She placed a hand on his chest, her touch surprisingly warm despite the chill in the air. "We have the bond. Together, we're stronger than either of us alone. Trust me." Alex hesitated, torn between doubt and desperation. "What do you want me to do?" "Focus," she instructed, her voice steady. "Feel the connection between us. Let it guide you." Closing his eyes, Alex did as she said. At first, all he felt was confusion. But then something shifted. A surge of energy coursed through him, unfamiliar yet exhilarating. It wasn't just his strength, it was hers too, flowing into him like a river merging with another. When he opened his eyes, Lyra was watching him intently. "Now," she said, her voice filled with quiet authority. "Let's show them what happens when they mess with us." Together, they stepped out of the cave, ready to face the hunters head-on. The days that followed were anything but normal for Alex Harper. Every waking moment felt like walking on shifting sand, unsure of what might happen next. Lyra's presence in his mind was constant, though she rarely spoke unless prompted. Most of the time, she simply lingered there, a quiet observer who seemed to feel everything he felt and see everything he thought. It was maddening. "Do you ever get tired of whatever this is?" Alex asked one evening as he sat on the porch steps, staring at the horizon painted orange by the setting sun. "Invading my head all the time." "I'm not invading," Lyra replied softly, her voice calm but firm inside his mind. "We're connected now. I can't turn it off any more than you can." Alex groaned, rubbing his temples. "Great, so I'm stuck with you forever." "Not forever," she said after a pause, "but long enough for us to survive what's coming." "What asterisk is asterisk coming, exactly?" Alex demanded, turning to look at her. She stood nearby, leaning against the railing with an unreadable expression on her face. Her luminous skin caught the fading sunlight, making her seem almost ethereal. He still wasn't used to how different she looked, how alien she truly was. Lyra hesitated before answering. "My people, they weren't always peaceful. The bond we share, it used to be sacred, something given freely between two individuals who chose each other. But then things change. Some among us corrupted the bond, using it as a tool for control. They turned it into a weapon." "A weapon?" Alex repeated, frowning. She nodded. "They forced bonds onto others, enslaving them. Entire worlds fell under their influence. When I refused to join them, they hunted me. That's why I came here, to escape." Alex stared at her, trying to process what she just said. "So let me get this straight. You ran away from your own kind, crashed on Earth, and decided to dump this bond thing on me without even asking. Why me? Out of everyone on this planet, why pick some random mechanic?" Lyra lowered her gaze, her fingers tracing the edge of the wooden railing. "You're stronger than you think, Alex. Stronger than most humans, and stronger than many of my own kind. Your willpower, it's rare. I needed someone who could withstand the bond's intensity, someone who wouldn't break under pressure." Alex snorted. "Yeah, well, thanks for the vote of confidence, but I didn't sign up for this. "I know," she said quietly, "and I'm sorry. But I had no choice. If I hadn't bonded with you, they would have found me already. They track unbound individuals easily. You're my shield now, as much as I am yours." Her words unsettled him. Shield. Was that all he was to her? A means to an end. "And if I say no?" Alex challenged, standing up. "If I refuse to play along?" For the first time, Lyra's composure cracked. Her glowing eyes met his, filled with both fear and determination. "Then neither of us survives, and neither does anyone else around you." The weight of her statement hit Alex like a punch to the gut. He opened his mouth to argue but stopped when he noticed something strange. The air around them shimmered faintly, as if reality itself were bending. "What's happening?" he whispered, looking around nervously. "They found us," Lyra said grimly. "They're closer than I thought." Before Alex could respond, the sky above darkened unnaturally, and a low hum filled the air. Something big was coming, and whatever it wasn't friendly. The pain in Alex's chest was excruciating, like fire spreading through his veins. He clutched at his shirt, struggling to breathe as the world around him blurred. Lyra knelt beside him, her glowing skin dimming with each passing second. Her eyes widened in alarm as she realized what was happening. "The bond. It's destabilizing," she whispered, her voice trembling. "What does that mean?" Alex choked out, his vision flickering between clarity and darkness. "It means we push too hard," Lyra explained quickly, placing a hand over his heart. "Using the bond to its full potential. It came at a cost. If we don't stabilize it soon, it could tear us apart." Tear them apart. The words hit Alex like a punch to the gut. He had barely come to terms with being bound to Lyra. Now he faced the possibility of losing not only her but himself in the process. "Then fix it," he snapped, his voice strained. "You're the one who knows how this works." Lyra shook her head, tears welling up in her luminous eyes. "I can't do it alone. It has to be both of us, working together completely. But if you're not ready, I don't have a choice, do I?" Alex interrupted bitterly. Despite his anger, he knew she was right. If they didn't act fast, neither of them would survive. Taking a deep breath, Lyra placed both hands on either side of his face, forcing him to meet her gaze. "Listen to me, Alex. This isn't just about surviving. It's about trusting each other fully. No walls, no doubts. Just unity." Alex hesitated, his mind racing. Trust wasn't easy for him, not after everything he'd been through. But looking into Lyra's eyes, he saw something undeniable. Sincerity. She wasn't asking him to save her. She was asking him to trust her enough to save themselves. "Okay," he said finally, his voice soft but resolute. "Tell me what to do." "Close your eyes," Lyra instructed gently. "Feel the connection between us. Let go of everything else, the fear, the anger, and focus only on the bond." Alex obeyed, shutting out the chaos around him. At first, all he felt was the throbbing pain in his chest. But slowly, something shifted. The bond surged to life, filling him with warmth and light. He could sense Lyra's presence more clearly than ever before, her strength, her courage, her unwavering determination. And beneath it all, her vulnerability. She wasn't invincible. She was scared, just like him. As their thoughts merged, Alex began to understand the true depth of their connection. The bond wasn't just a tether forced upon them. It was a bridge, a way for two vastly different beings to become something greater than themselves. Now, Lyra's voice echoed in his mind, calm and steady. Push back against the instability. Together. With every ounce of willpower he possessed, Alex focused on stabilizing the bond. He imagined it as a thread fraying at the edges, pulling it taut with his mind while Lyra did the same. The effort was immense, leaving him drenched in sweat and gasping for air, but gradually the searing pain subsided. When they opened their eyes again, the forest was eerily quiet. The ships were gone, and the only sound was the rustling of leaves in the wind. "You did it," Lyra said softly, her voice filled with relief. "No," Alex corrected, managing a faint smile despite his exhaustion. We did it. For the first time since their journey began, Alex felt a glimmer of hope. They weren't just bound by necessity anymore. They were partners. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. The victory in the forest was short-lived. Though they had driven off the hunters temporarily, Alex and Lyra knew it wasn't over. The enemy would regroup, stronger and more determined than ever. And this time, they wouldn't stop until both Alex and Lyra were eliminated, or worse, captured. "They're planning something bigger," Lyra said as they trudged through the dense woods under the cover of night. Her voice was low but urgent, her glowing skin casting faint shadows on the trees around them. "That leader, the one we damage, he won't retreat without making us pay." Alex adjusted the strap of the backpack slung over his shoulder, his mind racing. Inside it were supplies scavenged from his garage, tools, batteries, anything that might help them survive. But against advanced alien technology, he doubted duct tape and a wrench would cut it. "So what's the plan?" he asked, frustration creeping into his tone. "Keep running until they corner us again." "No," Lyra replied firmly, stopping to face him. "We fight back, but not blindly. We need to strike first, before they can set up their weapon." "Weapon?" Alex echoed, his stomach sinking. "What weapon?" Lyra hesitated, her expression grim. "A device capable of amplifying the bond's energy. If they activate it, they'll use it to enslave humans, forcing bonds onto entire populations. They'll turn your world into theirs, ruled by fear and control." Alex stared at her, disbelief warring with anger. "And you're telling me this now after everything we've been through?" "I didn't want to burden you with the truth earlier," she admitted softly. "But now you deserve to know. This isn't just about us anymore. It's about protecting everyone you care about." Alex clenched his fists, torn between resentment and resolve. As much as he hated being dragged into this mess, Lyra was right. If they didn't act, innocent lives would be lost, including those of his friends and neighbors. "Fine," he said finally, his voice tight with determination. "Where do we hit them?" Lyra pointed toward the distant glow of the city skyline. "They've set up in an old factory near the outskirts. That's where the device is located. If we destroy it, we buy ourselves, and Earth, a fighting chance." The journey to the factory was fraught with danger. Patrols of drones circled overhead, forcing Alex and Lyra to stay hidden in the shadows. Each step felt heavier than the last, the weight of their mission pressing down on them. Yet despite the odds, their bond continued to strengthen, giving them moments of clarity and strength when they needed it most. When they reached the factory, the sight sent chills down Alex's spine. Towering machinery hummed ominously, connected by wires that pulsed with unnatural energy. At the center stood the device, a massive, pulsating orb surrounded by guards armed with weapons unlike anything Alex had ever seen. "This is insane," Alex muttered, crouching behind a stack of crates. "How are we supposed to get past all of them?" "One step at a time," Lyra whispered, her eyes scanning the room. "Use the bond. Focus on their weaknesses." Taking a deep breath, Alex closed his eyes and let the bond guide him. Through Lyra's perspective, he saw patterns in the guards' movements, flaws in their defenses. Together, they devised a plan, moving swiftly and silently through the chaos. When they reached the orb, Alex hesitated. "What happens if we destroy it?" "It could kill us," Lyra admitted, her voice steady but tinged with fear. "Or it could save us all." Without another word, Alex nodded. Side by side, they unleashed the full power of their bond, channeling every ounce of energy into the orb. The explosion lit up the night sky, shaking the ground beneath their feet. When the dust settled, Alex collapsed, barely conscious. Lyra lay beside him, her breathing shallow but alive. "We did it," she murmured weakly. For the first time, Alex allowed himself to believe her. When Alex woke up the next morning, sunlight streamed through his bedroom window, painting golden streaks across the walls. For a moment, everything seemed normal, just another day in his quiet little town. But then he felt it. A strange warmth radiated from somewhere deep inside his chest, like a second heartbeat pulsing faintly beneath his skin. He sat up abruptly, pressing a hand to his sternum as if trying to push the sensation away. "What the hell is wrong with me?" he muttered under his breath. The events of the previous night came rushing back. The crash, the pod, the alien girl with her unsettling smile and cryptic words. Asterisk, "We are bound together." Asterisk, those 4 words echoed in his mind, making his stomach churn. Bound. What did that even mean? And why hadn't she explained anything before disappearing into the woods? Alex got out of bed and stumbled to the bathroom mirror. His reflection looked the same as always. Tired eyes, messy dark hair, a faint smudge of grease on his cheek from last night's work. But there was something different about him, something he couldn't quite put his finger on. It wasn't physical. It was deeper, almost mental. He felt sharper somehow, more alert, like his brain was buzzing with energy he didn't know how to control. As he made coffee in the kitchen, the feeling intensified. Every emotion he experienced, frustration at burning his toast, annoyance at the clatter of dishes, seemed amplified, as if someone else were feeling them alongside him. At first, he dismissed it as paranoia, but when he heard a soft laugh echo in his head, not his own voice, he nearly dropped his mug. "Okay, this isn't happening," he whispered, gripping the edge of the counter. "It is happening," came a calm reply, not aloud, but directly in his thoughts. Alex spun around, heart pounding, half expecting to see the alien girl standing behind him. But the room was empty. Still, her presence lingered, unmistakable now. She was inside his mind. "This isn't real," he said aloud, trying to convince himself. "I'm losing it." "You're not losing anything," her voice replied gently. "You and I are connected. You'll get used to it." "Used to it?" Alex snapped, pacing the kitchen. "You just barge into my life, shove some weird bond on me, and expect me to get used to it. Who do you think you are?" "I am Lyra," she answered simply. "And I chose you for a reason." "A reason? What reason? You haven't told me anything." Lyra's tone softened, almost apologetic. "I know this is difficult, but trust me, you needed this bond as much as I did." "Needed it?" Alex repeated incredulously. "No one asked me." Before she could respond, the lights flickered overhead, casting the room into brief darkness. Alex froze, staring at the ceiling. "What was that?" "It's starting," Lyra murmured gravely. "What's starting?" She hesitated, and for the first time, her confidence wavered. "They're coming for me. And because we're bound, they'll come for you too." Alex's blood ran cold. "Who's coming? What are you talking about?" But Lyra didn't answer. Instead, she withdrew from his mind, leaving only silence and the lingering dread that his ordinary life was over.